ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for a video on a product by a new company, at least to me personally. A bunch of you have left comments in my video saying, Justin, why have you not had a look at the ZD Toys Iron Man figures? And finally, I bit the bullet and picked up a whole bunch. So I thought, what better way than to start off looking at the line with none other than the Mark II. Now, for those of you who don't know about this company, they are officially licensed, and they are 7-inch scale figures, so technically you can fudge them into your other 1/12 scale lines. More on that later in the video. If you are looking to pick up any of these ZD Toys Iron Man figures, they are in stock right now with toyswonderland.com, and of course the link for that will be down in the description below. They do also have 12-month installment plans if you are a fan of paying off your figures over time. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. And here of course we have the box art for the Mark II. This box is super classy. I was not expecting this level of quality from a 7-inch scale figure from a company I personally had never really heard of before. But taking a look at the picture on the front of the box, we have an image of the figure himself. And we do have this really awesome sort of rainbow lenticular effect on the side, as well as some information on the back there, plus an image of the Mark II, and yes, all of the official licensing information, because as I said, this is a legit product. Now, one of the coolest things about this box is the way it opens up. You open up these top magnetic panels and you get an image of the Mark II once again, except this time you can see the inner workings. You also have a very classy fabric tab. You can remove that panel, and then we have the Mark II himself, plus down below a bunch of bits and pieces. So what we are going to do now is get all of the Mark II's accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have everything that comes with the Mark II. It's not a hell of a lot of stuff, granted it's mostly hands and effects, but in my opinion this is more than enough for the Mark II. Let's start off by taking a look at the display base first. It's got a really nice print on there, Marvel Studios Iron Man Mark II. It's got a multi-jointed arm up the top with various interchangeable pieces. If you want a crotch grabber, you can go for that. Or if you want to take the arms off the clamp and pop them on the crotch grabber, you have a fully clamped up version. Or if you just wanted to go with the clamp itself, you can do that as well. It's very modular, and I really like the way it looks and also the way it works. As for the hands themselves, there are multiple different versions. You do have ones with fully painted repulsors on the inside, which are really nicely done. We don't often see that even from some higher end companies. But you also have ones with holes on the palms, so you can take some of the blast effects and plug them in. However, if you do want them on Iron Man himself, you can bring the figure in and peg them into his feet. Unlike when we recently reviewed the Figuarts Mark VI, he comes with feet blast effects, but also a flight stand, so we can have him in the air. Take note, Bandai, this sort of stuff just makes sense. What we are going to do now though is get the Mark II itself out here and take a closer look. And here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And yeah, the Mark II is represented super well here. I am pretty impressed. This being the first product that I've picked up from this company, I didn't know what to expect, but the one big takeaway for me having him standing here in front of me are the proportions. He looks like a real person in a suit. We will touch on that a little bit more in just a second, but yeah, standing back at a glance, this guy looks fantastic. And then on top of that, you got some really great sculpt work, a bunch of moving pieces, some awesome articulation, and also the paintwork, which is suitably metallic, and it does evoke the look of the Mark II. It's a very simple and clean suit of armor. What we are going to do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal. Yeah, that's the Mark II. ZD Toys being a company that's relatively new to me, I didn't really know what to expect, but the first thing I want to talk about that I already mentioned earlier are the proportions. Take a look at him. He looks like he's been ripped straight from the screen. You may be thinking, Justin, what are you talking about? He's overly hunched and he has no neck. That's kind of how the suit looked in the movie, I hate to burst your bubble, but this looks really, really accurate. I personally am very impressed. As for the paint applications, it is a nice metallic silver. You can see it's picking up the light very nicely. It would have been cool if it was chrome, kind of like it was in the movie. It had this brushed stainless steel look about it. This works for me perfectly fine, but I can understand if you wanted this guy to be a little bit shinier. My only complaint doesn't have to do with the paint applications, it's the fact that this guy unfortunately doesn't light up, so the arc reactor looks permanently dead and so too do the eyes. That works fine for a Hall of Armor display, but if you want to actually have this being posed as Tony in the suit, it's going to kind of let you down a little bit in that department. I'm hoping we get a fully light-up version of this guy like we do with the Mark III. Now, talking about the head sculpt, or I should say the helmet sculpt, that's quintessential Iron Man. I have no complaints whatsoever. I love the way this looks here. And we will be talking about articulation in just a second, because it's pretty impressive in that regard as well. Coming to the back, he does have the fully opening flaps with some detail on the underside. That's something that we don't even see from some import companies, so for a relatively low-cost product, I'm really, really impressed. There is some detail in the sculpt to the arc reactor, as well as rivets dotted throughout the entire suit. Because of course, this is the Mark II, it needs to have those details to be accurate. All the way down to the back of the legs with those little dotted style thruster or intake sections, whatever they are, they look fantastic. So yes, even though prior to this video I knew nothing at all about this company, this figure alone has made me want to go ahead and pick up a bunch more from ZD Toys. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, I don't know how much this'll actually help you, but here's the Black Series Bad Batch Hunter. I thought because it's a Hasbro release, it'll give you an idea of how this Iron Man will scale alongside your legends. However, I don't think it's really going to work. The Mark II is quite a lot taller. This is a 7-inch scale figure, more along the lines of the Marvel Select lineup. Nevertheless, hopefully this helps someone out there decide whether or not this Mark II is worth picking up for your collection. Just going over articulation on the Mark II. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt itself, it is on a ball joint. The neck is fixed, but it does appear to have a little hinge in there as well, so it can go relatively far back and forward. There is some pivot side to side, very marginal, and swivel left and right. The arms themselves will go up to about there, and the shoulder pads move independently, so they will nicely get out of the way for you. They will swivel all the way around. There is a pull-out joint that does house the butterfly and ball joint, so you do get a significantly larger range of motion compared to when it is compressed into the shoulders there. We do have a swivel at the bicep, a double bend at the elbow, which gets you slightly past 90, and a ball joint down here at the wrist. As for the torso, it can actually pull up ever so slightly and get an even greater range of motion, pivoting and swivel side to side as well. The legs do go forward to about there. They also drop down to get slightly more than they did previously. There is a swivel incorporated as well, a double bend here at the knee, which again goes slightly past 90, and of course a ball joint down here at the ankle. Just wrapping up on the ZD Toys Iron Man Mark II. Now going into this review I had no idea what to expect. this company was brand new to me. I'd never picked up anything from these guys before. But this figure right here has convinced me to pick up a whole lot more from them, because these Iron Man figures are pretty darn fantastic. They are relatively low cost, they come with some great accessories, the sculpt work is fantastic, the articulation is awesome, and the paint applications are on point. Plus, the proportions alone make this guy look super realistic. So yeah, this company has my attention. I'll be reviewing the Mark III, the Mark V, and the Mark VI, as well as the 4 and 7 very soon on the channel. If you are looking to pick this guy up, he is in stock right now with toyswonderland.com. The link for that is of course down in the description below, and they do have 12-month installment plans if you are a fan of paying off your figures over time. Also, if you are down in the description, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.